Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel, The Beautiful Stitches, where we make ourselves beautiful and we try out things on our own. Today we are going to be making an exaggerated puff sleeves. As you can see, this is the fabric I'm going to be using for today's tutorial, and I've placed my fabric on fold. I'll be cutting the two sleeves together. So you can see I placed it on double fold so that I can cut out the two sleeves. Okay, so what we're going to be doing right now is to make our markings on our fabric. The length of my sleeve is 10 inches, and then remember I'll be adding a puff at the shoulder area, so I'll be adding more inches to it. I'll be adding 5.5 inches to make it up to 15.5 inches. You can add more than that if you want, depending on what you want. So let me mark it out. Okay, let's be sure of what we have, 15.5. So the next thing to do right now is to mark out the exact sleeve measurement on this portion where I'm marking right now. Okay, my sleeve length is 10 inches. I'm marking out 10.5 inches. Okay, half inch for sewing allowance. It does not really matter, you can just mark out 10 inches. Okay, so I'm marking out 10 inches. Draw it out into a straight line. So on this portion I'll mark out my armhole measurement. My armhole is 8.5 inches and my seam allowance is half inch, which you can also ignore and just mark 8.5 inches since we'll be having excess fabric at the other end of our markings. Okay, so let's mark it into a straight line, connecting it to the upper line. As you can see, we are having excess fabric on the side. Okay, let's mark it out and see what quantity of fabric we have. I have 5.5 inches there. You can have more than that. You can add if you want your puff to be more exaggerated than mine. You can add the number of inches you want. Okay, so at this portion where we marked out our armhole circumference, we're going to be marking out our exact sleeve measurement. Okay, so we have 9 inches there. So my cap's height is 4 inches, which I've marked there. For a tutorial on how to calculate a cap's height, visit my channel The Beautiful Stitches and watch my complete video on how to draft a basic sleeve pattern. I'll also drop the link in the description box. Okay, so we've marked it out into a straight line. Let's also connect from the upper line down to the open end. Then for the upper part of our sleeve, you can see that we have excess there. We have 5 inches. Depending on what you want, you can add more inches to it, 10, 15 or thereabouts. Okay, so at this portion now we are going to mark out our basic sleeve at that point, taking note of this midpoint here. You can see where I marked now, taking note of this midpoint. Okay, so we are going to connect down to the edge of our excess fabric. Just watch out what I'm doing. Okay, so we're going to make a notch at that point after cutting, so take note of that point. And also we're cutting out the front armhole part of it. Okay, so let's cut out our sleeve and then mark our round sleeve on the armhole measurement. Okay, so at this point now we're going to impute our round sleeve. Okay, my round sleeve is 6, and then I'll add my sewing allowance 1 inch, then connect it properly and cut it out. So So I'm going to be cutting out my sleeve. Remember, we'll cut out the front armhole to make it look more beautiful. So we'll make a notch at the center, okay, because it's going to help us in our gather. All right, remember the point where we marked at the center of the markings, okay? So I'm making a little curve there. We're going to be cutting out our front armhole at that point. Just watch carefully what I'm doing. Remember, my fabric is on fold and we have the two fabrics there, the two sleeves, sorry, there. So I'll make a little cutting at that point. Just watch out carefully what I'm doing. I'm cutting the front armhole to make it relax properly on our sleeve. Okay, so at that point now, we are going to mark it also, connecting the back armhole, and then make a notch for both the front and the back side of it. Okay, also make a notch. Just watch carefully what I'm doing. Remember, that is where our gather is going to stop. All right, our sleeve is ready. Okay, so the next thing now is to make a gathers from one end to the other, starting from the point where I made a notch down to the other end of the notch. Just watch carefully what I'm doing. This is how it's going to look after making my gathers. So we'll take it to the machine and use a loose stitch to hold it from one notch to the other. As you can see, I've taken it to my machine. So the next thing I'm going to do right now is to pull the thread from one end to the other to make a gather at this point. Okay, so let's make our gathers. Okay, so pull gently so that the thread does not cut. All right, as you can see, we have made our puff. You can see looking very beautiful and elegant. So we are also going to do it at the hem of the sleeve. Okay, you can just see I've done it also at the hem of the sleeve. The next thing we are going to do is to attach the hem that we are going to be using for the sleeve. As you can see, I've already cut out what I'm going to use at the hem. So I'll take it to my machine and then attach it to the main bodies, and then do the same thing I've done for this sleeve to the other sleeve. As you can see, our sleeve is ready. Exaggerated puff sleeve. You can see it's looking very neat and clean, looking very, very elegant. Thanks for watching this video. Thanks. If this video has been helpful to you, please give me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe before leaving this channel. Like and share this video. Also comment. Bye bye. See you in my next tutorial.